There can be no doubt about what the scripture readings this Sunday are telling us. Very clearly, the necessity of keeping our communication with God open by prayer. Moses in the first reading is pictured pleading for his people, and as long as he prayed for them, they were successful. Paul in the second reading asks Timothy to keep doing what he had always been doing, keeping himself open to the influence of God through prayer. And then, of course, there is the great parable of the unjust judge and the widow that Jesus gives us. Now, we know that we're not supposed to get into the details of a parable, that there is just one message and the details are not important. But there is something very fascinating about this parable, a detail of this parable, which came to my attention. All the translations of St. Luke's Gospel, which of course was written in Greek, they say things like, "I will give this widow what she wants, lest she keep bothering me." But if you go to the original language, what he says is, "I'm going to grant this widow what she wants to keep her from giving me a black eye." That's what the Greek says, and I don't know why they tone it down so much. Unless she strikes me in the face, under the eye, and gives me a black eye. That's the original meaning. The call to prayer is to keep us in communion with God, in relationship. You know what happens in human relationships when there's an argument. The worst thing that can happen is that we leave the room and slam the door behind us, and the relationship stays exactly as it was or gets even worse. God's always, even when we do slam the door on him in some way, he says, "I stand at the door and knock," because he wants that communication. He wants that communion with us, which our daily prayer experience opens up for him, so that he can change us and bring us into the fullness of life that he wills for us. We need be afraid of speaking openly and honestly with God, as the woman spoke with the unjust judge, going after him, as it were. After all, he's given us the book of Psalms to use as a basis for our prayer. And how many of the Psalms begin with remarks like, "My God, why have you let me down? Why have you forsaken me?" God has given us all the means to express our needs, our affections, our disappointments, our hopes, our joys in the book of Psalms, which should be the background and the basis of the way we communicate with God on a daily basis. So let us go to the Lord every day, from where we are, how we're feeling, how we're acting, how we're receiving life or influencing life, and not be afraid of his response. God will never be afraid of anything or disdain anything we have to say to him. God will even accept from us a black eye. He did it before on Calvary.